In this video, I'll show you how to do skin retouching as a beginner with no steps skipped. So this is going to be a slightly longer tutorial, but I'll be focusing on the details and the most important aspects when it comes to skin retouching. So in this video, we're going to be doing skin retouching using frequency separation from the start to the very end. And we're going to be learning how to do dodging and burning, how to do a little bit of color grading and give the image a little bit of final touches, and finally how to export the edited photo that is going to be sharp with no color change issues when it comes to Photoshop. So simply like the video and don't forget to subscribe. So after importing the image in Photoshop, the first step is going to be to create the two layers involving the colors and textures. So remember, frequency separation divides the photo into colors and textures so that we can refine the colors alone, and you can as well refine the textures alone, so that when we combine both refined layers, we end up with what we know as a retouched photo. So you're just going to come to the background image right here and simply create two copies from the background image. You can simply drag on the background and drop on the new layer icon to create two copies from the background image. Double click on the middle layer and you can rename that to color, and you can double click on the topmost layer, name it to texture. So like we have named these two layers, we want to remain with information as labeled on these layers. So just come to the color layer, select it, simply turn off the texture layer. Then you're going to come to filter, come to blur, come to Gaussian blur, take the radius slider down and simply click on any area on the skin that you feel has more skin textures or skin details. Then click on the radius slider, so click and hold down and you drag it up. So for this point, we have to stop at the point whereby we are just starting to close out on the skin textures in the image. So at about 7, that is when we're just starting to close out on the skin textures in this very image. You can see right here in the preview. But make sure that as you're losing out on the skin details, you can still see or identify the facial structures and some of the outlines of the image. Just come and click OK. Come to the texture layer now, turn it on. Then for the texture layer, remember, we only want to remain with the texture. So just come to image and come to apply image. It is going to open up this apply image window, which is going to be having the source. The source is basically the name of the photo that we're trying to edit. Under layer, click on the drop down arrow and select color, channel RGB. Blending has to be set to add because we are editing a 16-bit image. And for those editing an 8-bit image, if you have 8 here, I'll show you the settings later on. So for a 16-bit image, select the blending add, opacity is 100%, scale is 2, offset 0, and make sure you turn on the invert option, and you'll see the textures on this gray-like kind of layer. Then for those people editing 8-bit photos, these are settings that you have to use. After selecting the color layer, channel set to RGB, make sure invert is not turned on or is not checked. Under blending, select subtract. The scale is 2, offset 128, opacity is 100%, and you'll basically have the same results. So for our case, we have a 16-bit image, so we have to revert these settings to 16-bit settings. So just come and select add, scale is 2, offset 0, and invert and click OK. Come to the blend mode right here, change it from normal and change it all the way down to linear light. So after doing this, we are going to put these two in a group. Select both layers by pressing Command, or you can use Control to click and select all the layers, the two layers for frequency separation, and drag and put them into a group. So you can double click on the name of the group to rename it to frequency separation. After renaming our group, click on the drop down arrow to open up the group. You can come to the color layer, select it, and after selecting the color layer, so for skin retouching, I would always recommend that you first of all work on the colors in the image and later on work on the textures. So come and select the color layer and simply turn off the texture layer. The reason for turning off the texture layer is because as you're trying to retouch or fine-tune the colors and blend the colors in the image, we don't want to have any kind of distractions from the textures. And this is also going to help us to see or identify the uneven skin color transitions so that we can blend them quite well, or so that we can blend them better. So after that, we're just going to come to the brushes and select the Mr. Brush tool. So simply right click on the brushes and get the Mr. Brush tool. And in case you can't locate the Mr. Brush tool under the brushes, you can locate the Mr. Brush tool on these three dots. So just click there and select your Mr. Brush tool. So after doing that, for every tool you select in Photoshop, the settings are always going to display above here. So for the settings of our Mr. Brush tool, you're going to come click on the drop down arrow right there. Make sure the hardness set to 0. Soft round brush is selected, and click on the drop down arrow here. Make sure you select clean brush. And we have two options here. One is load brush after each stroke, and the second is clean brush after each stroke. So we just want to select the option that is for clean brush after each stroke, because as we're trying to blend different colors of the skin color or skin tones, we don't want the brush to carry along the previous color to a new area, because different areas of the skin contain different colors. So just come and make sure the weight is set to 9. So you can click on the drop down arrow to change the settings. Then the load is 75, the mix is 90, flow is 100%. Settings once again, the weight is 9, load 75, mix is 90, flow is 100%, and make sure sample all layers is not turned or is not checked. So make sure that this right here is not checked. After setting up the Mr. Brush tool, it is time to apply it on the image to do our skin blending, or to blend the colors within the skin color of the subject. So with the color layer selected, it is time to apply the Mr. Brush tool. How do you apply the Mr. Brush tool? We make sure that the size of the Mr. Brush tool is small enough to blend a given color in a given area without spilling or without going to the next color that looks different. So to increase or reduce on the size of the Mr. Brush tool, you can use the open and close square bracket keys on the keyboard. So how do we blend? Simply click and hold down. So you click and hold down and you move just like that. And by the way, as you're blending, make sure you are blending or retouching at a distance. So you can see I am retouching at a distance. Don't zoom all the way in like this, because when you zoom all the way in like this, you can't see the uneven skin color transitions in the image. So always I would recommend that you retouch at a distance. So blend a given color. Once you're done mixing that given color, you also have to release the click button and click once again on a brand new color to blend that color once again. And you can see every color to try to blend is going to create a smooth color or a smooth transition between that color. So you can see for these areas that you have worked on, you can see the colors are looking smooth and they are looking better. So the other thing you have to take into consideration as you're using the Mr. Brush tool, you have to follow the way the face is shaped. So you can see the forehead is moving in this kind of direction. So that is how you have to move the Mr. Brush tool. So move it in that direction just like that. And this helps us to maintain the original body or facial structure of the subject without completely changing their looks. So you can see that. So where these colors are transitioning from one color to another, just reduce on the size of the brush and you blend that bordering area or that intersection or the area of intersection between the colors, so that you can create a nice transition between those colors. So you can say this color is darker, so I'll just get a very small brush and try to blend the darker tone in that area and blend right there where it is intersecting into a brand new color. And as you can see right now, the forehead area has been blended quite well, but you shouldn't worry about losing the details, because right now we are dealing with perfecting the colors rather, and we're not dealing with the textures, but the textures are still left intact in the image, as I'll show you later on. So continue working onto the image just like this using the Mr. Brush tool. You can see I'm following the direction of a given area that I'm trying to blend all over the image. So just do that, and you can see the size I'm using. You have to keep on adjusting the size of the Mr. Brush tool depending on the size of the area that you're trying to blend or work on in the image. So I'm just going to blend like that. You can see I'm following the direction of a given area in the photo. So I'm just going to do this for the rest of the areas that have skin. So you can see the chin is moving in this direction. So I'll use a very small brush and blend the chin in and follow that given direction. So I hope you can see what we have right now. Reduce on the size to blend on a very tiny or small area. So for a very small area that you want to perfect or work on, you have to make sure to zoom all the way in and you work on only that small area. So zooming all the way in is going to be for only exceptionally small areas in the image. So I'm just going to blend a very small area all over the image. So zooming in is only for those very small areas that you want perfect in the image so that you don't leave them out. So I'll do this for the rest of the image. So zoom out once again, because I zoomed in because I was working on a very small area. So I'm just going to work just between the eyebrows. So when it comes to the nose, I'm just going to come and follow the direction of the nose just like that, and also blend the dark areas of the nose of the subject. So take your time as you're doing all this, because you don't want to leave out some areas unblended or unworked on. So I'll blend like that. So I hope you can see how the image is now turning out to look smooth regarding the colors, and the colors are now being blended quite well. So you can see what we have right now. So make sure you work on every area that has skin color or skin tones, and you don't leave out any areas that have the colors regarding the model's skin. So I'm just going to blend right above the eyebrow. So when it comes to the neck area, you can see the neck is moving in this up down direction. So I'll as well move the Mr. Brush tool in this kind of direction, just like that, to slightly remove the neck wrinkles from the model's neck. So I'm just going to do this, and you can see by just using a mixer brush tool, we have a very smooth image. So when it comes to the hand, in this case, you can see it is moving in this direction. I'll blend this color alone, blend the dark color alone. So you have to be patient, and the more you practice, the better you'll have trained your eyes in order to work on the image quickly and identify the uneven areas that have inconsistent colors regarding the skin tone. So for the fingers, just get a very small brush and try to blend those dark knuckles so that you can create a very smooth image. So I'm just going to increase on the size, and I blend right on the hand or the arm of the subject. So you can see how easy it is when it comes to smoothing the skin using frequency separation. So let me just quickly do this area and I show you the result right now. So after blending majority of the areas that have skin tones or skin color, I'll show you what we have in this case. Just come and turn on the texture layer, and you can see by just doing that, you can see the textures have been left intact within the very image, and we have just been blending the colors or the skin tones of the subject. So you can see the before, after, before, after, before and after. So after blending the colors or the skin tones of the subject, the next step is going to be to perfect some of the areas whereby we may have missed out when we are trying to use the Mr. Brush tool over the subject's skin. So just come right now with the texture layer turned on and the color layer still selected. We are simply going to come and get the lasso tool and make sure new selection mode is activated. Then the feathering is 20 pixels because we want the edges of the subject to be as smooth as possible. We want the edges of the selection of a given area to be smooth as possible, and we don't want it to leave out those annoying lines over the model skin. So new selection mode activated or selected. Feather is 20 pixels, so just type in 20 pixels and hit enter. And alias is selected, and you're just going to come and make a selection. So For this point, you can even zoom all the way in a given area, and you make a selection, but follow the shape of that given area. Then come to filter, you're going to come to blur, and you're going to come to Gaussian blur. So when you click on Gaussian blur, it is going to bring back the initial radius that we use for our frequency separation initially, as we are separating the colors from the textures. You can see that we have 7 right here. So what you have to do, you can manually move this radius slider forward and stop at that point whereby you are getting a beautiful and natural skin texture for your image. But you can as well multiply the radius by 3. So we had 7. So for whichever radius that you had for your image, just multiply that radius by 3 and type in the value. So 7 by 3 is 21. I'll just delete 7 and type in 21. And I click OK. So after this, I'm just going to click out from the selection to deselect that given selection. Then come once again and make a new selection on a brand new area. Just like that. Come to filter, come to blur, come to Gaussian blur. And you can now click OK. So in order to make the effect better in case it's looking too much for your liking, right click on the selection and come to fade Gaussian blur, and you can reduce on the Gaussian blur effect in the given area. So I'll leave everything of my image at 100% so that you guys can see the effect. So just come to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. So for this kind of method of using the lasso tool, I would only recommend that you use it only on the face of the subject because the face usually has more skin details than the rest of the skin or the body. So I'm just going to come to filter, blur, Gaussian blur like that, and you can see this makes the image better. So when it comes to the nose, apply it only on the dark areas of the nose. So apply it on only the dark areas of the nose, just like that. Don't apply it on, or don't apply it by selecting the whole nose. Apply it only on what you feel is the dark area of the nose, because when you select the whole nose, that is going to make the nose look a little bit big and unnatural and flat. So you can see right now we are done working on the colors of the model skin. You can see before, after. So remember, frequency separation is done in 2 steps. One step is about fine-tuning the colors or the skin tones, and the next step is for fine-tuning the textures. So remember, to remove pimples, acne, blemishes from the model skin, we have to select the layer that is containing the textures or the unwanted skin details. So just come to the texture layer, make sure it is selected, then come and get the clone stamp tool, or you can press S on the keyboard. S is going to select the clone stamp tool, and remember the settings are above here. The hardness should be set to 0%. Soft brush is selected. The mode is set to normal, opacity at 100%, flow at 100%. Make sure aligned is checked and the sample is set to current layer because we want to remove blemishes that are part of the currently selected layer, in this case, which is the texture layer in our frequency separation. So after this, to remove blemishes, you have to zoom all the way in because you have to see or identify the blemishes. So to remove a pimple, for example, this one in this area, we hold down, make sure that the size of the clone stamp tool is slightly bigger than the pimple or the blemish that we want to remove. And you can reduce or increase on the size of the clone stamp tool by using the open and close square bracket keys on the keyboard. So make sure it is slightly bigger than the pimple or the blemish that you want to remove. Then to remove a pimple, come to a clean area that doesn't have a pimple, but that area should be located close or near the pimple. Hold down the option key on the keyboard, option for Mac, alternate for Windows. So every time I mention option, in case you're using Windows, you know it is the alternate button. So option, and click on a clean area near the pimple. Release the option button on the keyboard and click once again over the pimple. And in that way, the pimple is going to be removed. So for every pimple, you have to keep on pressing the option key on the keyboard and sample and paste over the pimple. So option, click and option, sample and click, option, sample and click, like that. So take your time as you're trying to clear away all the pimples and unwanted blemishes from the model skin. Remember, we are doing skin retouching and we just want a very nice and perfect image. So just going to do this. So with practice, you can always get the most perfect results, and you're going to be able to edit your images faster when it comes to skin retouching and using frequency separation. So in case I wasn't talking, this would have taken me about 5 minutes. So always understand that with practice, you're going to be faster. And I always recommend you guys to practice, because you can't master or you can't be quick on the very first time of doing something. But the more you practice, the more precise and better you're going to be at the end of the day. So I'm just going to remove all these unwanted blemishes and skin imperfections. So I'll just come, hold on the space bar key on the keyboard and click to hover around to a new area. And I'll try to quickly eliminate majority of these skin imperfections regarding the model's skin. So I'm just going to do this like that. You can see how quick it is. So one finger should be placed on the option key on the keyboard so that you don't have to look at the keyboard once again, and only look at the screen or the monitor as you're trying to edit the model's skin and perfect the areas by removing pimples, blemishes, and acne from the model's skin. So take your time as you're trying to do this, because at the end of the day, we don't want people to criticize our work as artists or photographers. So you can see what we have right now. So take your time as you're trying to clear away or remove all these unwanted details or textures from the model's skin. Command minus to zoom out to see if you have been able to eliminate majority of these unwanted textures or blemishes from the model's skin. So after clearing away majority of these blemishes, command minus to zoom out, and you can see right now we have a beautifully retouched image. So you can see the image before, after, before, after, before, after. So after doing this, the next step is going to be adding shape or dimension to this model. So in order to add shape or dimension to the model's body after doing the skin retouching, we are going to be using a simple technique known as global dodging and burning. Global dodging and burning is more of sculpting the model's body so that we can create dimension and shape. So sometimes as we're doing frequency separation, it tends to alter or change or flatten the overall image. So we just want to bring back the initial shape of the model's body or face in this case. So just come to the adjustments and come to curves adjustment layer. So dodging and burning is more of enhancing the highlights and the shadows. So when we are enhancing the highlights or the bright areas, we are dodging, and when we're enhancing the shadows, we are burning. So come to the curves adjustment layer, click on the middle pointer and drag up like that to brighten up the image. And with this white layer mask selected, press Ctrl I on the keyboard, or you can use Command I on the keyboard to invert the effect. Then double click on the name. You can name that to dodge. Remember, we just brightened. So, and you're going to do the same for the burning. Come back to the curves and click in the middle and click and hold down and drag down. With this white layer mask selected, press Command I on the keyboard, or you can use Ctrl I on the keyboard and simply rename that to burn. So burn is for shadows or the dark areas, and dodge is for the bright areas. So you can select both of these layers and press Ctrl G on the keyboard, or you can use Command G on the keyboard, and you can name that to D and B for dodging and burning. Open up the group and select the dodge layer mask. So make sure the black layer mask is selected. Then you're going to come to the brushes and get the brush tool, and make sure for the settings, make sure soft round brush is selected. The mode is set to normal. Opacity is 100%. Flow is 100%. And for this, we're just going to come and identify the bright areas of the image and simply make sure that you have black and white on these two color swatches. So in case you don't have black and white on these two color swatches, all you have to do is simply pressing D on the keyboard, or you simply click on the tiny color swatches and make sure white is the top color. So after that, simply come and draw like that. You can just paint lines over the areas you feel should have highlights in the overall image, just like that. So just brush over those areas. So just draw lines. I would recommend that you draw lines following that highlight in a given area, and come to the chin area and also enhance. So this is about enhancing the highlights in the model's body or on the model's body. So just, you can even do it on the lips, and also draw on that highlight on the nose, and you can as well enhance that area. So after that, you can also come to the band and simply do the same. So for the nose, I'll just draw a line on the dark area of the nose, and also come to this other dark area of the nose, just like that. I know this looks awkward, but just wait for the results. Just going to come to the cheek area and also paint, and also come right here on this area and also draw over the areas I feel should have this kind of effect. So you can darken those areas. So once you're done doing this or drawing lines over the highlights and the shadows of the image, the next step is going to be blending this into the skin. So with this burn layer mask selected, make sure that you come to window and make sure properties is checked, and you can set it opens up the properties window. Come to where you see feather. You can see feather here. Click on this pointer and you drag it up, and as soon as you start dragging it up, you can see that the effect starts blending into the subject's skin. And come and do the same for the dodge. Come the feather and you can simply move it forward just like that, and this is going to blend the effect into the model's skin, and this is going to add or create shape or dimension to the model's face and body. You can say before, after, before, after. So in case it's looking a little bit overdone, you can come first of all to the dodge, and you can as well come to reduce the opacity so it doesn't look too much, and you can as well come and reduce on the opacity of the band. You can see right now the before and after. And in case it's looking overdone, come to the opacity and you can reduce on the overall opacity for the dodging and burning. You can say before, after. Once you're done doing this, the next step is going to be to whiten the eyes of the subject. So in order to whiten the eyes of the subject, you're going to come and create a hue and saturation adjustment layer. Make sure master is selected and come to saturation and take down the saturation, and this is going to make the image close to black and white. So just stop at about -76. With this white layer mask selected, press Ctrl I on the keyboard or Command I on the keyboard, and that is going to invert the effect. With the brush tool selected, you have white as the top color. You can switch between black and white by using this arrow. Make sure the opacity is 100%, flow is 100%. The mode is set to normal. So with the brush tool selected and this black layer mask selected, we are going to start painting over the white area of the eye to whiten the eyes of the subject. So you can see this is going to remove any random colors that are existing in the white area of the eye, and is going to be whitening the eye. So for this point, you don't have to whiten this corner of the eye because this is meant to have this kind of orange color or reddish color. So you can even do the same for teeth whitening in case you want to do a little bit of teeth whitening. So you can just simply paint over the teeth to whiten them slightly. So in case the effect is too much in a given area, ensure to come back to the opacity and reduce on the opacity to your taste or to your liking. So at about there, we are fine. So after doing this, let's do a little bit of color correction regarding the blacks of the image. You're just going to come to selective color and simply target the blacks or select the blacks, and simply come to cyan and just move this slightly forward just like that. And this is going to make the image look better. And right now, this is okay. So in case you want to enhance the contrast of the image, come and create a levels adjustment layer. Come and drag in this pointer towards the right hand side, and can do the same for the white point. You can say before, after, and this is going to make the image slightly pop in the photo. So this is what we have right now regarding the overall skin retouching and final touches over all of this very image. So in order to save this very image, we are simply going to first of all look at the before and after that we have been able to do in this very video. So this is the image before, after. So after this, simply come to File, Export, come to Export As, and it's going to open up the Export As window right here in Photoshop. Under File Settings, make sure JPEG is selected. Quality set the maximum, which is 7 for this case. Make sure the resample is set to bicubic sharper. And right here, come to color space. Make sure the color space is set to convert to sRGB and embed color profile have been checked, and click on export to save or export the image and click on save. So this is how you can retouch a photo in Photoshop from the start to the very end. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like the video and don't forget to subscribe if you have been watching and you are not a subscriber to this channel. Ronix from Ronix Photography. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in yet more videos on this channel. Don't forget, keep practicing and as well keep creating.